Hey everyone, Ryan Young, KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu. I hope you're doing well. Here we are toward the end of the year. You can see all the Christmas decorations and stuff behind. In fact, our tree is right there. Right. And, you know, when we're getting toward the end of the year, it's often a good time to kind of reassess where you've been and what you want to do for the coming year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover motivation for you this particular video. Quick intro about what KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu is for those of you who don't know. We're a jiu-jitsu school founded by Master Dave Kama, who is one of the dirty dozen, as we call him, in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, one of the first 12 to get it, and he is a Rickson Gracie black belt, and some argue the best Rickson Gracie black belt ever. Anyway, we run 3 different campuses. We have one in Southern California in Irvine, we have one in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Flower Mound, and we have one in the Austin area, in the city of Austin. So come by and visit one of our studios if you'd like to, if you're in the area. And also we have our website, KAATAROJujitsuOnline.com, which puts all our curriculum out there, as well as videos on our class notes, which is just like you being in the class, as well as conference calls that we do with Master Dave Kama as well. Anyway, on to what we're talking about. So when we're getting into a new year, we tend to do our New Year's resolutions and we become motivated. Hey, let's do something for this coming year. Let's make sure I do this, do that. I haven't done it before, but you know, I'm going to do it this time. Or let's something that you've always wanted to get done, but never really got to get done, right? Maybe 10 years ago, you decided I'm going to lose some weight and you never lost that weight. In fact, you gained some weight, right? How many of us have gone through that, right? So, what we need to do first is we need to develop some motivation to do things, right? So we have all these platitudes, right? Now, there's a million of them. I see people on Instagram, you know, they're going to post these motivational things to kind of help them kind of move along and do stuff that they may have not been motivated to do. And, you know, these can help, right? I've also heard of putting them up on the wall in your house. You know, these posters that used to be up maybe 20 years ago. I don't see them so much now. They are motivational posters with a picture and a saying underneath. It says, you know, this type of thing, and I can't think of any of them offhand. But they'd be in companies, in the offices, along the walls, maybe in the hallways. People walk by, they see them, so kind of keep them motivated to keep doing a good job. And if those help you, then great, right? Then that's really all you need. But I tell you, from my experience, those really didn't help me. Now, just because they don't help me doesn't mean they won't help anybody. Otherwise, you know, people wouldn't have made millions of dollars selling those things, right? It's because people do look at them, they do pay attention to them, and it does help them. But here's the thing that I would contest that you need to take your motivation to the next level. And it's to not define it as motivation, because a motivation is it would be nice to, right? It's that kind of saying. It would be nice if I did this. It would be nice if I did. It's simply a desire. Now, desires are nice, but desires are not often acted upon, right? It's the burning desire, also called drive. That's what you will often use to get you somewhere. Now, what is drive versus motivation? Or what is a burning desire versus a simple desire? To be driven is to be determined, right? To be motivated is just simply to be pointed in that direction. Yeah, you know, this is the direction you want to go. You want to go toward losing weight. But when you're driven to that, you are being pushed from behind. Like, oh, no, I don't want to. 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 Okay. And you have no choice but to go to that area. When you're driven, there's no other alternative. You're going to do it. Right? For everybody who is successful at something, it's because they're driven to do it. Right? It doesn't matter if they're successful in something that's good for them or successful in something that's bad. They're driven to doing it. So for me, for many years, I was motivated to become better in jiu-jitsu. But for about a 10-year period of my lifetime, from about maybe 98 to 2008, I was motivated, but I wasn't driven. It was where, yeah, I kind of want to train, and maybe I'll train. I'll call some guys up, hey, you want to come and train? They'd come over, and after I train, you know, since it's been a while since I did train, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, you know, I get all busted up, and after that, the motivation just gone, right? I'm no longer motivated to train because man, these guys got a lot better since the last time I trained with them, and they just ran roughshod all over me, and I used to beat them before. Or, man, I felt like I got hit by a bus, and I'm just kind of in pain right now, and you know, I don't want to go through that again. And you don't look forward to it. It's not something you have a burning desire to do, so you don't do it, right? So on the other hand, about maybe 2007, maybe, I had this drive to train. And it had nothing to do with the belt. I didn't care. I was a purple belt in 2006, 2007 time frame. But I just wanted to train. You know, I had some time. I had taken some time off of work because my mom was sick at the time. So I just told myself I'm going to spend more time with her. I wasn't motivated to spend more time. I was driven to spend more time with her. So I did. So, you know, out of her last 12 months of her life, I probably spent about 4 months or so with her, even though she lived in Hawaii and I lived in California. And for the last part of it, I lived in Texas. But I was driven to spend time with her, and I did. And, you know, as a result of setting the time aside to train with her, I also set aside time to train. So there'll be times when I'm in Hawaii with my mom, and while she's resting, I'll go and train. Right? And then I'll come back and see her, I'll help her, maybe grab her some food, and when she's resting, I'll go back and train again. So I was driven to train. And that drive helped me to continue on training with Professor Brad Jackson, and then later with Master Dave Kama. So I just trained and trained and trained. I had a drive to it. I started to enjoy it again. And when I enjoyed it, then I really had no alternative but to train. So as a result, I got better, right? I started learning more things and concepts that I thought I knew it, but I really didn't, but now I know it. Let me learn some more. Let me learn some more. And it became a burning desire to learn and learn and learn. And, you know, I think 2007, late 2007 or so, brown belt. And then I go to judo class with my son, and pop, my knee went. It actually went pop once, pop again, twice, and same injury. But it happened 2 times. And my knee was done, and at that point in time, I could have been not so motivated to train anymore, but I was driven, right? So, you know, went in for a meniscus repair and went through the physical therapy part, and I even ended my PT, or you know, they told me 8 weeks before I get back on the mat again, but I was back on about 5, right? I wasn't supposed to, but I just told myself I'm only going to play from my back, and, you know, whenever they go to my right side, then I'll just tap. Which is what I did. You know, I did do that. I did protect the knee, and I just let them play on the other side, and I only played for my back. And once I got up on top, I'd play back on my back again. But I was driven. I was determined. I had that burning desire to train, even though I had to be off at that time for about, with counting the operation, the rehab, I was off about 5 weeks. But I trained, but my knee was still sore, and ended up, after my full rehab, they did some other stuff to my knee to try to make it better. It didn't work. I had to go in. Turns out my ACL was kind of loose. So it wasn't torn, but it was what they call frayed. So it was hanging on by a few threads, but it wasn't completely torn, but I need to get a new one. So that was a 6-month rehab. But after about month 4, I'm back on, and I figured I'd do the same thing like I did with meniscus. Why? Because I was driven to train, right? For me, there was no other alternative for me but to train. So guess what? I trained, and I trained a lot. And, you know, I was driven and driven and driven and driven. So then here comes brown belt, and, you know, I'm like, brown belt, whatever. I'm good. You know, I was a purple belt. Now I'm a brown belt. Okay. And, you know, brown belt, normally a 1 to 2 year belt, you know, provided everything else is kind of, you know, you got to cross all the T's and dot all the I's up until that point. Obviously mine wasn't. So, you know, 4 years as a brown belt, I didn't care. I thought whatever, but I was just driven to train. You know, I went to judo on, I think, Mondays and Wednesdays. I went to jiu-jitsu class Tuesday and Thursday. I had a business partner who had mats in his garage, so we trained every Friday after work. And then on Sundays, I trained with Master Dave. So I trained 5 days a week, right? Because I was just driven to. I had no choice but to do it. So I did it. You know, and I do privates here and there. I teach privates every once in a while. So sometimes I'm on the mat 7 days a week. But it wasn't work to me. It wasn't drudgery to me. It was just like a compulsion, right? I couldn't help it. So I don't know what got me into that being driven mode, but I did notice a difference between being simply motivated and being driven. So now, how does this help you? You need to find out what motivates you and what drives you. Motivation is nice. Drive is better. Drive is you cannot help it, right? It's a compulsion, right? You have to do it. There's no reason anything else but to do it, right? People who are gym rats, right? They have a compulsion to go hit the gym. You know, even if they walk into the gym and they don't do all that much, they're driven to be there. Now, other people, when I used to go to the gym, I was very serious about it. I had my notebook and I had a routine. So, you know, I'd get off work, I'd, you know, maybe go home and change, and I'd grab my workout bag, which had my tablet in it. I'd go into the gym and I'd sit in the locker room and I'd write my workout out for the day. And I'd plan it, you know, everything was 1 rep more than I did yesterday, or if I maxed the reps out, then I'd go 10 more pounds and then, you know, do the reps that way. But I'm always, I had that compulsion. I had to jot it down and keep making myself do better than I did the last workout, right? So I did that the whole time I was not really doing jiu-jitsu. But once I did jiu-jitsu and started going back to jiu-jitsu, then I stopped really working out. I didn't have the drive to work out anymore. It was one of those, it'd be nice if I worked out, but I've got this drive to go train jiu-jitsu. And eventually I ended up just dropping my gym membership because all I did was jiu-jitsu. So today, I still have that drive, right? Here we are at the end of 2020, and I had surgery on this shoulder about 3 weeks ago, and this one about 12 weeks ago. But you know, I'm driven to go to my PT so I can start training again, because right now I'm not training. I'm just going into the studio dressed just like I just came from the studio dressed like this, and taught the class like this, and used one of my instructors to go through the motion. I just told him what to do, and he went and did it. But you know, I have to be in there, and I'm sitting on the mats, and I'd love nothing more than to get in my gi and start training. But I know if I put my gi on, then all of a sudden the transformation happens, and now I'm going to train. So I know better, so I keep my gi off, but I'm still there. You know, at my regular class times, I am still there. I'm still at the studio. Sometimes an instructor takes over for me and I go and do other stuff in the studio. Sometimes they don't, and I'm on the mat, but I'm dressed in my street clothes, but I'm still teaching from you know, like this, but I'm just not training. It's hard, right? Especially when you're driven. So think about whatever you want to do. You have to find a way to turn it from simply wanting to do it, to being motivated to do it, to being driven to do it. And just remember though, you cannot be driven to do a lot of things. You can only be driven to doing a couple of things, right? And once you get that routine in there, right? About 30 days, if you can do something every day for 30 days, it will become a habit, and you have to turn it to a habit. And once it's a habit, then you will be pretty much driven to get it done. It'll be a compulsion, right? You can be driven to do something, or you can have a compulsion to do something. Either way, you're going to get it done. So get your mindset into that, and don't just simply worry about these motivational sayings and stuff, putting them on your Facebook or your Instagram or your Twitter, or whatever, you know, stuff that motivates you. It doesn't necessarily drive you, right? Find out how you can be driven to do something, right? So I want to lose weight this year. I'm going to be driven. I'm going to make myself go ahead and fast first 5 days of every month, something crazy like that. I don't know, whatever. Until you get to the weight you want, for instance. But you have to be driven to do it. Put it in your calendar, make it as a task, and be driven to complete all the tasks in your calendar, right? Don't just simply put them on there just to put them on there. If you're going to put it on there, you're going to have to complete it. So if you want to schedule out your training for the next 30 days, schedule out your training for the next 30 days and make it happen. If, let's say, you're scheduling Monday, Wednesday, Friday to train, but this particular Wednesday you can't because it's your daughter's birthday. Okay, then make it happen Tuesday or Thursday. Don't just skip it, because if you skip it, then you'll never go back to it, right? So count for that month. So for the month of January, let's say you're scheduled in 12 training days for the entire month, okay? That's not an unreasonable amount, right? But you say, that's what I'm going to do, 12. If you're halfway through the month and you're not at 6, let's say you're at 4, then you're going to have to make it up at some point. Make yourself make it up. Because if you don't, what will happen is you say, oh, okay, I'll make it up in February. Then I'll make it up in March, right? If you're missing one class every month, so instead of 12, you're doing 11. By the time you hit December, you know, you already have now 11 classes, one for every month that you missed, in addition to the 12 for December. That's 23 classes in a month. How are you going to do that, right? You're not. So just remember, if you're in the middle of the month, if you're the 15th of January and you haven't done your 6 classes that you need to do over the first 15 days, then start mobilizing and get your days put in at that point. If after the first couple of months you find that you're always doing that, okay, then maybe 12 might be a little ambitious. So for the month of March, take it down to 10. right? 10 classes. Do something you can do realistically, right? You can even start it off as something I know I can do easily. So let's say I know I can do 8 classes a month, which is 2 classes a week. And schedule yourself for 2 classes a week. You know, it's not going to be enough for you to get better at a fast rate, but you'll get something done, right? Well, whatever skill it is, right? Doesn't matter. But get your 8 days. And if you easily make your 8 days and find that you're farting around for the remaining days of the week, then for the second month, add in another day a week, right? Or even add in another day every 2 weeks. But get to the point where you're always moving up and you're not moving down, okay? The more times you're doing it, the more driven you'll be to actually do it. But you have to be first driven to complete your tasks. So set out your tasks realistically, be driven to complete it. And once you get to that point, then the actual tasks, you'll be driven to complete anyway, regardless of if it's on your calendar or not. So for me, with my training, it actually is on my calendar because I schedule myself to be on certain days, and I don't like to miss classes. I don't like people to come in and not see me there, right? Because I need to be there teaching my classes. So I don't cancel classes unless it's something, you know, I'm really, really bad off. Then I will cancel. But usually I find a substitute, but I don't even like doing that because I'm driven to complete my classes. You know, once it's on the calendar, for me, it's set in stone. So with that type of attitude, it's easy to have that burning desire to finish something or to be driven to do it. So I hope that helped you, and hope that helped you to plan things going forward for the next year, for 2021, which will be a better year than this year was. And hopefully this year wasn't a bad year for you at all, right? You know, it's all perspective. It's all perspective. So, you know, I don't really think of 2020 as being a bad year. It was a great year for me. It was better than 2019. Granted, there are certain things that could have been done differently, but, you know, hey, that's out of my control. But what I want to do is make sure that I'm always in a mindset that makes it so I'm always happy, right? So no matter what happens, I'm not worried. So that's Jessie, by the way. She's trying to sneak off, staying with us for a little bit. But anyway, that's all I got for you this time. Be sure to like and subscribe the video, subscribe to the channel and like the video if you liked it. And if you really liked it, you think it's helpful, go ahead and share it. And don't forget to join us at KAATARO.online.com, where you can see all our curriculum videos. And, you know, we've got hundreds of videos that are online that Master Dave and I have put together. And it's helped many people, helped our students as well as, you know, our local students to our academies. You know, we have academies in Southern California, Kama Jiu-Jitsu Irvine. We have Kama Jiu-Jitsu Flower Mound, which is also Kama Jiu-Jitsu Dallas Fort Worth. And we have Kama Jiu-Jitsu Austin. Our members have been on our website, and they kind of follow up and keep up with their training. But also we have people all over the world who are members of our website who also learn our training and also can participate right alongside with our members in our classroom. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Take care. Happy training. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thanks. Bye.